そう今はツイッターっていう会社とツイッターっていうサービスとモバイルの話をちょっと話をしたんですけども、そうそのビズストーン自体のちょっと話を僕伺いたいんですけども、ビズストーンっていうのはブロガーを立ち上げて、でブログよく考えたらブログを作った人がツイッターを作ってるわけで非常に面白いなと僕は思うんですけども、ビズが2004年にブロガーモバイルっていうのを立ち上げて、僕にとってそのブロガーモバイルのコンセプトっていうのは携帯電話を使って簡単にその短いブログをポストするっていうのがそのブロガーモバイルのコンセプトだと思うんですけども、それってでもほぼほぼイコールツイッターだと思っていて、そのブログをその考えたビズがそこからそのツイッターに至るまでのいろんなそのアイデアであるとか、いろんなことひらめいたりとか、そのブロガーっていうのをやりながらきっと得た、ユーザーの声とか経験とかっていうのも含めて多分ツイッターに至っていると思うんですけども、それの話をちょっと伺いたいんですけども。
Essentially, for the last 10 years, I've been working on developing these large-scale systems that allow people to express themselves and communicate. And it started with blogging. It started with Zanga and blogging and sort of making it social. And then I even tried creating a service in 2003 called Side Blogger. It was the idea of if you only wanted to write a blog post that wasn't very important, uh, you would use Sideblogger instead of Blogger, and that didn't really catch on. And then I went to Google and worked on Blogger, and we thought, people are carrying around these mobile phones all the time. How about if we made blogging on the go? And you can actually go to go.blogger.com and you can still see the site that we made. That also did not really take off. I think it has a lot to do with timing, and I think it has to do a lot with, especially in the U.S., with the rise of SMS, and people in Europe were doing it a lot sooner than in the U.S. But then in 2006, the mobile carriers began to allow text messages to go between carriers, whereas before they were siloed. And this opened up new opportunities. And I think it was a matter of timing. You keep trying, you keep trying, you keep trying. And then it also was a matter of meeting the right people. My co-founders, Evan Williams and Jack Dorsey, and the right place, San Francisco, where there's a lot of entrepreneurial spirit and a lot of people willing to work on crazy ideas that don't seem like a good idea at first, but they think it's fun, so what the heck. And so in many ways it becomes timing, it becomes the people, there's an element of luck to it, and it's something that a favorite author of mine named Stephen Johnson, who wrote a book called Emergence and also Ghost Map and many other books. He talks about in his new book where good ideas come from, the natural history of innovation. He talks about the slow hunch, an idea that just builds and builds and builds over time, almost like a coral reef develops over many years to become a very vibrant, living organism or place. He talks about an idea that may take maybe 10 years before suddenly it seems like it was an overnight success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think you're right. You just keep trying things, and I always encourage people that just because something's been done before doesn't mean you can't do it again as well, because so many people get discouraged when they have a good idea and someone tells them, oh, that's already been done. So what? I mean, maybe you try and you take a different route and you go there. And maybe you'll get lucky with timing. There were people who were doing group text messaging long before Twitter, and it just didn't work. It just didn't take off. And there are some companies in India that are doing group text messaging that's working very well. I think it's the right time. People are more willing now also to open up and be very public and open with information they share. And people are becoming more savvy about sharing information in a way that is beneficial to them, maybe helps them meet people or helps them get a job, that sort of thing. And they're leaving out certain pieces of information, or they want to add their geolocation, but they only want to add the neighborhood, not the exact coordinates. People are getting much more savvy about these things, and I think we're heading into a world where pretty soon we'll be able to have this sort of ESP, almost like a superpower, where we know where our friends are, we know how they feel, we know that whether or not they want to see us, we know the news that's happening down the street, we know what that loud noise was, we know that your water isn't very good, and we can act on these things, and we can make smarter decisions about what we purchase, about where we go, about who we do business with, etc.
10年かけて今ここまで来たツイッターのその歴史、ツイッターじゃないな、そのビズストーンの歴史っていうのが一つあって、で今その話を聞いたんですけど、でも僕はちょっと面白いなってずっと思っているのは、ツイッターっていうのは非常にオープンじゃないですか。でツイッターのそのコミュニティでも非常にオープンでポジティブでっていうのもあるんだけど、もう一つはその技術的にツイッターっていうのはすごく早くから API を公開してやってきたと。でそれは僕はすごく興味深くて、今では結構いろんなそのサービスとかいろんな会社が API を公開していること非常に多いと思うんですけども、多分それってツイッターの成功を見て、そうやって経済システムというかエコシステムを作ることが成功に近づくんだっていうことを多分みんなが真似してるんだと思うんですけども、ツイッターって一番初めからその API を公開していろんなサードパーティーとかいろんなその技術者によってツイッターのエコシステムを作ってきたっていうその決断っていうか、普通はなんていうかな、サービスを作る、僕なんかもずっとパブリッシャーをやってきたりとかしたんで、自分でサービスを作るとどうしても守ってしまうっていうか、全部自分のところでそのサービスから何から何から全部自分でやってしまうことがよく多いと思うんですけども、ツイッターが他のエンジニアであるとか他のプログラマーであるとか他のサードパーティーと一緒になってエコシステムを作っていこうっていうAPI 公開っていうのが一番分かりやすいと思うんですけども、その姿勢っていうのがどういうふうに初めにそういう姿勢になれたのかなってすごく興味あるんですよね。
I think being open, from a technical perspective, is almost like being open as an artist, as a musician, or as a painter. You want to collaborate with people. You want to jam with people, and that's no different for developers. And so we had a very simple API. We had a very simple service. And so we said, why not just release it and see what our colleagues come up with, almost as if we were artists and we wanted to jam together, and make music together. And that's really what has happened over the last few years, is just this vast proliferation and variation, which ends up benefiting users around the world. It benefits us, it benefits companies. And that reminds me, I sort of mistakenly stumbled upon this idea of music. I wanted to ask you about music, because you're a musician, and you make your own music. So you tell me more about that. Tell me a little bit about your music and your work.
音楽はたまたま好きで、ちっちゃい頃から音楽が好きだったんですね。で一番初めはビートルズがすごく好きで、っていうのは僕日本で生まれて。なんていうかな、日本の音楽をずっとあんまり好きではなくて、その時にたまたまビートルズを知って、音楽の持つパワーとか、あとビートルズは当然英語での歌詞だったんで、小学生だと僕は英語の辞書を買ってきて、でビートルズの歌詞がリリックが書いてあるのを全部辞書で見て訳したら、テレビで日本で歌われた歌とはビートルズの歌詞って全く違って、ユーモアだったりとかその視点だとかがすごい僕にとって新しくて、でビートルズにすごくハマってしまったんですね。そこから音楽が好きになって、で日本ではイエローマジックオーケストラっていうテクノのバンドが出てきて、それは僕がちょうど小学校の時で、すごくビートルズが好きだった代わりに日本が日本人である自分がどうなのかなって思ったことがあったんですよね。日本の音楽、テレビで見る日本の音楽であんまり面白くなくて、だけどビートルズとか、ビートルズ以外でもそうだけど UK の音楽、ヨーロッパの音楽非常に面白くて、で僕は日本で生まれてしまったんで、日本人である自分ががっかりした時期があって、小学生ぐらいの時、その時にちょうどイエローマジックオーケストラって日本のバンドが出てきて、僕はすごくこれだと思って、そこからすごくテクノの音楽にハマって、いまだにテクノの音楽をやってるんですよね。
And that's a very open community, right? I mean, that's something that people are constantly sharing, bits and pieces of music, and music creation has become now a very sort of, it's almost like graphic design at this point, right? I mean, people with GarageBand and all these types of things are putting together music. It's a very difficult thing to put together a piece of music that is, really worth listening to. But you must do you collaborate with other musicians in this way?
ゲームを作る時はコラボレーションすることが実はあって、僕がその作曲をした曲を作ったものっていうのをそのデータをそのエンジニアに渡してゲームで再生できるようにすることが多くて、そういう時に同じ共通のソフトウェアを使って情報を投げ合って、でエンジニアが僕の曲を編曲するわけじゃないんですけども、ゲームに再生しやすいような状況にしてもらって、またそれをキャッチボールしてっていうことが結構多く行われることですね。私だったら曲を作って、音楽のデータって非常に大きかったんだけども、今はそのツールが結構優秀なので音楽のデータが非常にちっちゃくなってるんで、僕がちょっと作ったものを誰かに投げて、そこになんかアイデアをもらって返してきてっていうのが結構非常に簡単にできるようになったっていうのが大きいと思いますね。
Yeah, it's interesting as we're talking about music and we were talking about sort of just communication before. I mean, one of the things my wife have noticed as we've been visiting Tokyo is there's just music everywhere we go.
Yeah.
You know, there's music that you know, when you press the button for the elevator to let you know what floor you're on, and so many devices have so many different sounds and things, and we felt almost as if we were in a game. You know, like we had just won a prize because we got to floor 3. So it seems like music is also very useful in terms of communicating, you know, to people. I mean, obviously alarms and these types of things are commonplace. I always wondered why more, you know, they when they invented ringtones, I wonder why can't I buy ringtones for my washer or my dryer or my rice cooker? Maybe you can here in Japan, but you can't in the U.S. I think it would be more fun to be able to do that. Maybe someone should do a startup there.
でも日本は僕もでも海外に行くと、逆に僕は日本にいてちょっと音楽が多すぎるなっていうふうにちょっと思っちゃうんですね。あちこちでいろんなピロンピロンパランパランってなってて、ちょっとトゥーマッチだというかちょっとノイズーだなって思うことがあって、そうヨーロッパの国とか行くといちいちこうボタンを押してもピロンってなるわけじゃないので、そこで非常に差があるなと思ってて、もう日本は東京は特にもうあちこちでも、ニューヨークもそうかもしれないけども、でっかいデジタルサイネージがあって、そこで音が流れてて、こっちで映像があって、こっちに広告があってって、もう情報がすごくトゥーマッチだと思うんですよね。